Hello. In this message, I wanted to address the concept of your opening, the changes that are taking place and have taken place within the recent time frame of your energetic shifts, and what it means for you as the being who's going through these changes and the interpretation of your three-dimensional form. And so, basically, the recent energetic shift allows you to tune in into deeper forms of energy than you have been able to experience before. It allows you to be able to center in and parse out or separate out various points of yourself and be able to look at them individually without being confused or having them convoluted to be part of the whole, uh, which is in fact the truth. But the parsing out allows you to analyze them and release them on the individual basis while still understanding how they fit into your whole. You're able to narrow in and zero in into the energies that are ready to be released. And so, as part of this release, as part of this cleansing structure that you're going through right now, you're able to cognitively, with awareness, evaluate situations. You will be able to and are able to see through the truth of any one scenario, any one issue, any one hurdle that you're going through. And then much quicker be able to zero in on the dysfunction or the disarray that you might have felt in the past, all through the previous years of your life, and now allow that disarray to dissipate in a much quicker way, and then propagate itself into the form of um, observatory knowledge in which you can see this particular issue or anything that you're facing at this particular moment as something that you're able to evaluate and process on a more clear, distinct level of awareness. And so that is the shifts that have already taken place, and you're experiencing, this new energy within the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so. And so that will continue to take on its cycle and continue to propagate into more points of your life. So these these points of awareness, um, opportunities for awareness will come into your being. They will kind of bloom into your life. At first, if you might experience some turmoil and uncertainty, which is fine, but then the time frame between that turmoil and uncertainty and then flip into the observer effect obviously is much quickened. So then your higher self will be able to evaluate that situation right away, and then see it from the standpoint of its truth. And then the most important part, or the part that is really where the the meat of the processing lies, is that you will be able to take this observatory notion of yourself in any one issue, um, and then quickly release it by seeing what is at the core, what is the pain, what is the trauma, what is the actual truth behind this issue, as opposed to what we usually blanket it in whenever we're trying not to feel our feelings or have our emotions come up to the point where we face our truth. So the second you go into this framework of allowing yourself to truly see the truth, truly feel the truth, right? And the important part is allow your state to stay in that mode, right? So instead of feeling too much, instead of experiencing too much energy and then trying to back away from that processing, the key there is you're now able to zero in and stay with that processing for as long as you need to, in order to be able to realize and actualize yourself into any one perspective, and then release anything you need to release out of any one issue, deep down into the core, if it's held energy. So the shift the shift that's taken place, is basically allowing you to do this. It's allowing you to progress into your being, and is allowing you to progress into to a world where sooner or later, after you do a lot of these processing and a lot of these shedding of the lesser, or the shedding of the pain, or the shedding of the fear, sooner or later, um, as everything that is heavy and carries immense density flows away, then you will be able to start vibrating at a lot higher vibration, more less densified. Almost, I'm guiding having guided image of almost like sparkling lights, right? So I've from my three-dimensional form, um, I've seen lights, sparkling, a lot more sparkling lights, like bioluminescence is happening both in my third eye and then in my physical form. Around, and I see it around other people, or I see it around myself. So, but basically, what that indicates, or what that showcases in a three-dimensional form, is the lightness of densities that we're starting to experience. So, whenever we think of ethereal worlds or ethereal beings, kind of through, I don't know where it even comes from, but through our subconscious knowing, we always imagine light. We always imagine sparks and that bioluminescence, that iridescence. And so, with that, what that actually represents, it represents higher densities, or lighter densities, or if you want to look at it from the above down standpoint, and there's no densities, right? So at some point, because we are just light, as we shed off the three-dimensional perception of our trauma, or three-dimensional perception of our pain, then the densities basically shift, and we become lighter and lighter. And so also the same time, just to kind of bring in a different aspect here, is you will, or you are, or will, notice the experiencing of your body feeling lighter. So whenever you do go into practices of relaxation, whether it's physical workouts, meditations, yoga, or just staying in stillness, or going into the nature, you will notice the amplified clarity and calmness that you are able to get out of those practices more, right? Because one, the density of you is now so much less than it used to be. And two, your intentions now hold much, much greater form, right? So when before, the higher densities have limited us from what we would call, what everybody else refers to, manifestation, or um, three-dimensional magic, or whatever you want to call that. um, those densities were so far away from us that the time frame between our thought and our intention, and then actualization of that thought and then intention into this world, one, took a long time, if you want to look at it from the linear standpoint, but also, our ability to connect to the manifestation thereof, was also hindered, right? So we were not able to see the change or the manifestation of our intention as quickly, and also, um, um, as truly, because we were still functioning in a very dense standpoint of ourselves. But now that the densities are a lot lighter with our work, and also with just general shifts that are happening around us, um, we are able to perceive our intention to come into form a lot quicker. And then it will continue to amplify. So the the process that this will go through, well, for now you will stay in this form of awakening, if you want to call it that, to where you are shedding your density, and then being able to basically go into lightness. And so the shift will just amplify and amplify and amplify and amplify, and then sooner or later you will feel extremely light. And also, as something from the past, that might have in the past been a trigger for you, or something that in the past would have bothered you, will come forth, you will notice your response will start to change, because that you will not be able to get sucked in into the densified version of you, because that version no longer exists, right? So as you shed your density, as you shed your weight, even if the same issues come about, you will now be looking at them in a much lighter and much more cohesive way of being. And I would say not let it get to you from the three-dimensional interpretation, but basically not dive in into the dense, version of you, with the pain body of you, and be able to stay in that bioluminescent glow and functionality of your lightness, or basically lighter frequency. And so your life is just basically kind of almost bubbling itself up, right? If you think of a bubble, and it has no limit, right? It's just basically rising and rising and rising with the air and kind of being carried with the current. There's nothing in essence that pulls its way down. And if sometimes the bubbles have the densified version of the soap that is floating at the bottom, I imagine that just falling off and the bubbles becoming lighter and lighter and lighter. Now I don't, at the same time, the clarification here, it does not mean that the bubble sooner or later pops. That is not where we're going. But just imagine the iridescent nature and the lightness and the glowing of the bubble, and then it just basically almost is not affected by gravity. It's not affected by the density and the pool, as it sheds everything away. That it basically was its existence. That is the density of the soap dish, but now it is able to just float, because it is lighter than air, right? And so the density of you is becoming that. You're becoming something that is so much lighter that nothing is sticking to your being, nothing is dragging you down. And then you're just able to flow. And in that flow, you'll start to see a lot of changes. And so those will probably be a different video that I will address this in. But just to touch on the basis, the changes will allow you to experience greater experiences of joy. They will allow you to experience love at a much deeper level than you have ever been able to interpret before. And I'm not saying love for the outside, I'm just saying internal love for the I. And so that joy will kind of solidify itself within, and it will go within, and transform your being from the inside out. And so then, therefore, through this transformation, through this lightness of your inner being, you will be able to interpret the world and interpret life from this steady and calm and serene place of you knowing. I keep on pointing to my heart center, but basically this innate love, the innate flow that exists inside of you, and you will be able to live your life through that. To an extent that we could never imagine. So a lot of ecstasy, a lot of bliss and joy, serene knowing, serene peace, basically will be coming our way as we shed away. But again, the message is stay with the shedding, allow it to happen. So I can tell you what's on the other side, but make sure you cognitively recognize that what's happening as these opportunities to come your way, and then see them for what they are, as opportunities to release and let go. And then, as tough as it might be to stay in that moment, to stay in that feeling, um, because it's so dense and carries so much pain and emotion, just realize the harder you stay with it, the harder you allow yourself to interpret what is it that you actually feel on the inside, the more opportunity, the more chance it has to fall away. Um, and so, yeah, that is the change of you, just this opportunity that you have right now in the front of you to shed what is no longer serving your highest good. And then you came here for this, right? You came here to be able to release everything that you have accumulated as something that you currently do not wish to hold. You see the beauty in it, and you see the beauty in not everything making you of who you are right now, but at the same time, you're right now facing the most magnificent choice of your being, which is the ability to release the burden, and then start to see the truth. And it's magnificent and beautiful. And so um, the beauty of you shines, and it has always shined. But in the past, when you're not able to see your own magnificence, it is hard to see through the density and the darkness of your own will. And so you're now facing the opportunity to shine your truth, and the magnificence of that uh, I think it's beyond explanation and any message that I can possibly communicate here in this world. And so just allow yourself to be. Obviously, my three-dimensional form is not able to handle the energy that I have coming through right now, but it is of utmost love and uh, and serenity, and the smile and the laughter that comes away with the joy of you discovering yourself. So much love and happy living.